Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our November Whangamatā Community Board, also our last meeting for 2024. So welcome from the members of the board. Any apologies? Nothing? Okay. Move and second for apologies, please.
Happy to move.
Second.
I'll second.
Thank you. And public forum. Welcome to the members that are going to speak on public forum this morning. Just be aware that you're on 5 minutes time limit for speaking. And our first speaker today will be Margaret from Poetry. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair Ryan, councillors, board members, staff, and most importantly, community, although you're all community. Most of you know that I'm representing the Upholstery Hall United Committee, and I just wanted to give you a bit of an update since our talk last meeting. First, a huge thanks to the senior exec team of TCDC. We are getting more on the same page around an agreement that we want to ensure that the hall is able to serve the community. And two of the focuses have been, one, trying to get that limit of over 50 people up so that people can use it, and also the accessibility of the bathrooms. So hoping to meet with Brian and Steve, Taylor and Steve Green after this meeting. We had a good meeting with Steve this morning. Dedicated staff, he rang me at 7:30 last night, said could we meet at 8 o'clock this morning, which we did. And, you know, we're really on the same page with, it's really, how do we make this work? Now, we really feel there's no time to waste. The community is using the hall. We've got more members than ever. I'm hoping that most of you read or got a copy of our latest newsletter. It really feels as if we've known that we've had the community on board, but it's really becoming increasingly important. You know, in these economic times, it's really important to have people come into the area, to have places to come together. And what's been really magic is just seeing the restoration of community relationships, both for locals and community and visitors. So the exciting things happening is we'll be going ahead with the painting in mid-February, which is fantastic, and Steve's on board with doing some restoration work to enable that to happen. We're on board with having some discussions with staff about how we can move forward with the numbers issues and the accessibility issues and what we can do to help. We're very aware that since I've been on the committee, this is my second calendar year, we've raised, I think it's $476,700, which has gone into that hall. We're not sure how much more philanthropic money we can get, but we are starting to get, we will endeavour to get more, but we're also starting to get donations of time and labour and skill from the community as well. So we will do everything that we can to work with council on this really important matter. Really happy to answer any questions that you have, but yeah, we really want to get this moving, and we want to have a beautiful Matariki event in June where we can have as many people that would like to be there and those that can come to be able to use the bathrooms so that everyone can come. And we're 60 years young next year, and we really want to celebrate that. So happy to answer any questions, but we'd really love your support to support staff to make sure that they've got the budget to do things, not just to come to meetings and say, hey, we've got the budget to do this. So please support your staff and support us. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming in today and give us an update. I popped out the other day and had a look, and the fencing looks really great around there. So it's starting to look like it's a place that's going to work. So all the best. And there's a few of the arts, and they're keen to come out there sometime and do some stuff. So it'd be nice to integrate with that and work with them. So welcome.
Thanks, councillor. We met with some of the crafts community actually yesterday. They unfortunately didn't get the funding for their event for the end of this year. But what we've said to them is, how about we do a family day and they come and do the crafts and we have the kids and we'll do a work and be at the same time. So we're really trying to come up with practical solutions. But thank you. We really appreciate your support.
Thank you. Any other questions from Margaret? Thank you very much. We appreciate your update. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is John Spencer. Good morning, John. 5 minutes.
John and I are here together on behalf of the Whangamatā Ratepayers Association. This is an application discretionary fund from the WRA for community delegation engagement for the Waikato Regional Council Coastal and Review. The Whangamatā Ratepayers Association are making the application on behalf of to the community board, on behalf of various entities in the Whangamatā area, such as involved with the harbour, estuaries, beach and amenities, etc., for a figure of $2,000. The purpose of the money funding is to facilitate engagement with local key stakeholder groups, iwi, who share concerns specifically over the participation. We need to talk to Lena Fisher of Ngāti Pū to ensure that the voice of iwi is included in our representation. Some of the organisations, it's Whangamatā Harbour Care, Coast Guard, the Marina, Ocean Sports Clubs, the Waka Armour Groups, and other recreational boating representatives to create this meaningful engagement as we move towards the hearings, which are going to take place early next year. John Spencer's been involved with the writing of the review on behalf of Whangamatā. That was submitted in 14th of November 2023. There's a lot of work going on with the WRC in developing this process. For example, they've now got panels of experts and Steve Rice is coordinating it. So we need to be really prepared when we go to the hearings early next year. And so the whole idea of this application really is so we can engage with people. We've got to travel to Thames, but meet people in different parts of this environment. And then, of course, there's the actual going to the hearings in Hamilton early next year. So this is what the purpose of the request is to the community board's discretionary grant. I just want to comment that in 2022, we presented a paper photographic evidence of the condition of Moana Anu estuary. That's 2022. Nothing's changed in that history. And this review and these hearings are crucial for the benefit of our harbour and our estuaries and our rivers. I understand that the golf club are making progress in WRC regarding getting the Wentworth River tidied up so we get better flow, but the Moana Anu estuary is a key to resolving some of those issues over there. So this is a big issue. I'm sure John's got a few comments if you might want, if he has time to make them. But we hope that you'll look at our application favourably. We believe that the work that's being done is crucial for the ongoing benefit of the Whangamatā marine, coastal and river environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
If I just add to that, it's in comparatively the last 2 years, there's been 2 articles, and particularly the issue at the moment with flooding in our community. In spite of the opposition from Forest and Bird, there's an article that says public making room for rivers. Also an article by Tom Kay of the Department of Conservation, which is a national inspection that is carrying out. Let the rivers flow. Now, these 2 articles are comparatively recent and were particularly honing in on those because let the rivers flow is exactly the problem we have in Moana Anu and also in the Ocean estuary. They're not able to flow in a natural sense because of the blockage of the mangroves, which has been our issue over the last 10 years. The resistance to date from the regional council has been particularly difficult to deal with. But currently, the issue now over the last 2 years, particularly on these 2 articles which I referred to, they now accept the fact that there is a problem. And if we don't do something about it, my personal belief is that if we can let nature do its own job in terms of providing a floodplain in those areas, I think we can put back the forecast of building seawalls and all the rest of it. I don't think that, personally, I don't think that was necessary. I'm a retired engineer. I've been involved with this problem. First visiting Whangamatā in 1965. So I've been a resident here for over 30 years, and I'm vitally interested in the future of this community. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Rob. Appreciate it. Any questions for Rob and John?
Just got one quick one to point of clarification. I know that the coastal plan of the government was put out in 2010, so this is 14 years later, and there's a lot of work involved. But the hearings when they plan for next year, you know, roughly when the hearings are for the regional basic plan review.
For the coastal plan review is in February of next year. We have made our submission back in November when it's closed. There have been various pushbacks from the regional council in terms of getting the submissions received, amending regulations and such on. It's a very complicated exercise. It's got to be watched very closely, because if we don't keep in touch with it, we'll get left by the wayside. So that's the intention of our committee, to keep in touch with this and act on behalf of the community. Otherwise, we're lost.
Thank you, John. Thanks very much. Next is James Wickham. Good morning, James.
This table is another document that's become available subsequent to me initially applying. So that all the board members got a copy of that.
Yep.
So I'd like to speak briefly on the proposed telecommunications pole at 421 Achilles Ave, the reserve currently leased by the Whangamatā Golf Club. I want the board to understand that the pole that is being proposed differs dramatically from the pole that is currently present. I think you're being asked later in this meeting and publicly excluded section of the meeting to vote on approving the variation to the sublease. The original pole was permitted under a piece of legislation called the National Environmental Standard. The new pole, or the proposed pole, is not permitted under that same standard. It's non-compliant with the relevant provisions in the TCDC district plan. As such, it has to be processed as a resource consent. That process started on the 25th of September. There has been no assessment as yet of a level of effects that warrant notification. And I believe you've been led to believe in your document pack that Connexa, the proposing company, has engaged with the community. This consultation basically was a mail out of some engineering plans and an A4 summary sent 2 days by mail ahead of the resource consent application. In my opinion, that's completely inadequate. On prompting by one of the board members this weekend, I walked around the reserve and presented the recently submitted visualizations of, and many of the people who own property or are absentee owners or Dutch owners were completely unaware of the proposal and have been prepared to sign, I guess you could call it the document showing that they are concerned about the potential visual impact. No, not radiation, visual impact on the reserve. I haven't provided that for you today, but if I can quickly find that. There we go. So just the list of signatures. I think within about 3 hours, a couple of us managed to get, I think in total, 52 signatures. Not all of these people are immediately resident adjacent to the reserve. Some of them represent people who use that reserve for recreation as a walkway, and others are members of the golf club and play golf there. So in my opinion, consultation to date has been inadequate. I also think the company has demonstrated a completely dismissive attitude to the way TCDC is processing this resource consent. There have been 2 separate requests for information by your contract planner. Neither of them has been responded to in full to date. In fact, on multiple occasions, I have a timeline here of those responses. The contracted company for Connexa Insight have refused to provide any of the information requested until very recently, when a single visualization from a single point on the reserve was reluctantly, as you can see in that correspondence, provided. I think that still falls short of what was initially requested. There should be at least another 3 views based on the initial RFI. There should also be an assessment against the restricted discretionary matters in table 3 relevant to that proposal. There also needs to be an assessment according to your contract plan of the objectives of the residential zone. And I personally think also the reserve zone should be included in that assessment, considering the location of the problem. And finally, I think it's necessary to consider the commercial nature of this proposal, who Connexa is, but also what the Whangamatā Golf Club is looking to do. In my opinion, this is an abuse of a peppercorn lease, and they are using this potential lease and a negotiated upfront payment of multiple years of that lease to fund capital infrastructure in the form of as I hear, a 100-meter deep borehole, which has already been carried out. So yeah, I'm hoping that the community board can slow this process down, withhold from voting until the resource consent process has been fully completed, and hopefully a process of public notification of affected parties is carried out. Happy to make this list of
that would be helpful.
people available. Photocopy that.
Thank you, James. Any questions for James? When you look at the reserve, what percentage of the people in the reserve are permanent residents as contrasted with absentee owners?
Yeah, so subjectively, I would say no more than 50% of the houses that I'm aware of are occupied permanently. But it's difficult, Gary. When I walked around for a few hours on Saturday, I would say probably at least a third of the places there was no one present, a couple of points throughout the day. And in fact, one person on that document identified that they didn't receive Connexa's document pack on the 25th of September or ever. Another man I spoke to had just recently purchased this property and was, yeah, I guess aghast is the word I used to describe it. So had not obviously been disclosed by the real estate agency, had not been made aware by Nexa when he bought that property in the last month.
Can I ask you another question? It seems that you had a lawyer involved.
Barrister, yes.
And she had communications with the council.
We became aware of this proposal prior to it being lodged with council. So the barrister sent a message asking for any update on whether this had been lodged. It hadn't at that stage. She subsequently sent in a letter requesting, I guess, proper assessment against the district plan. I suppose you could consider it putting council on notice to ensure the process is carried out properly.
And was there communication from the council back to her?
There was. It wasn't easily forthcoming. And in fact, this latest correspondence required multiple prompts to be provided publicly, and it was made finally available on Friday last week.
And you got a copy of that we could have?
That final correspondence is
I can just,
yeah, the date on that you'll see is
but I'm trying to see if they're particularly easy people.
yeah, the contact between the barrister and the TCDC. I do have a copy of that.
So that's different to this, but I can't see TCDC.
Well, BBO is the planner that TCDC have contracted to process the consent.
Right, I'm with you. So let me get it straight. BBO and Insight, two different companies.
Yes.
And what are their respective roles?
Insight acts on behalf of Connexa as their planning consultancy to process the resource consent and supply the requested information.
And BBO acted on behalf of the council.
Are still acting on behalf. The resource consent is still not final.
So you got specific correspondence from TCDC explaining they were passing this on to someone else to handle.
No, I'm assuming that is how this works. TCDC engages an external planning agency and BBO to process resource consent.
So has there been any correspondence to TCDC? Legal?
Yes, yes, from Lachlan McHattie.
Have you got that?
Yes.
That we need a copy of that.
I did supply that in the documents I attached when I made the application. Like 3 different documents.
So that should be on our record.
Yes.
And I think it will. As well, Gary, looking at that, James, you can see that there is a necessity to upgrade.
Well, I don't think that has been elucidated fully yet. Your restricted discretionary matter table provides the opportunity for this company to provide the specific engineering data that says that pole needs to be this size, needs to go right there. So to my mind, that means that Spark, Vodafone or One New Zealand and 2 Degrees should be forthcoming via Connexa with this data. You should be able to assess this to determine we need this structure right there. And that hasn't happened today with any pole.
If not us, our engineers, I mean, so you see, we left to them to, the final decision would remain with us, but at the end of the day, it's the engineers that would decide that as opposed to us then.
Yes, but I hope you can see that, it's not in their interest to properly assess the information. It seems to be a very biased interpretation of it. I'm hoping that TCDC engages a relevant expert to assess that impartially.
Can I just start? The last letter I see on the 13th of November, we had from Lachlan McHattie, hello Bronwyn, responses so far, initiated peer review of the landscape and visual effects of the proposal so far, so as of yet, the further information requested has not been completely satisfied. This is still being completed. Once it's finalised, then a copy will be placed on the consent tracking system. Regards, and then on the 23rd of November, the lawyer writes, "Hi, could you please forward me the responses so far?"
Yes,
Have we got those?
that is the document that I tabled today.
This first one here, which shows the photographs showing the pole as it is,
Yes,
and as it looks now.
the
But that was what they proposed.
yes, correct.
Right.
Yes,
And this is what effectively was shown
yes,
when you went around to see them.
correct. It was their first opportunity to actually get an accurate depiction of what the pole might look like.
So we've got, like, there must be something exciting. Oh, there's a lot. So at the top it says, having seen the visual representation of the proposed cell tower of the Williamson Golf Course, first made publicly available on Friday, 22nd of November, I am concerned about the visual impact of the proposed on reserve landscape. I see. That's all signed there. Yeah, so there's not sort of general happiness as we lead to believe.
I wouldn't call it consultation. I mean, I'm not a lawyer. I don't have a legal definition of that word, but it doesn't seem to have occurred.
And is your lawyer discussed with them being a reserve and the responsibilities of a reserve?
Yes, I do actually have those objectives printed in front of me here from the TCDC district plan, which is what I can read it out. The policies and objectives of the recreation reserve. I'll just look at point 4 there. Protect the topography and landforms of recreational land from inappropriate modification. Point 5. Limit physical structures and use of recreation land to those which add to the public's enjoyment of the land and enhance the environment. The objective of the reserve, point 2, protect the natural and physical resources that are matters of national importance or are of significant amenity value to the community. And I also, through a Lagoima request, have internal council correspondence in the form of an email sent to all board members in June, where the lease specialist for TCDC identified that council acknowledged that providing space for utilities is not a primary function of reserves and should not compromise the primary purpose of the reserve.
I don't have a copy We don't have a copy of that.
No, I can make this available.
Okay.
Dennis, you like to speak?
Yeah, thanks for coming. So just a couple of questions for you, Liv, on
Yes.
the Whangamatā Reserve.
I own a property adjacent to the reserve.
Yeah, and I think in the report we got, it said the connector, I think it's sent out to contacted 85 of the residents around it. So what you're saying is they did that via a letterbox drop?
Yes, they requested of council ratings, database, contact details for all the people immediately adjacent to the reserve. And then they physically mailed out a document pack on Monday, the 23rd of September, and then lodged a resource consent application on Wednesday, the 25th.
So that's how they've done their consultation, is by a letterbox drop. Have you had any other thing, anything from TCD or any other?
No,
So, and you were saying before, a lot of them are batches, so assuming a lot of them probably don't have letterboxes either.
no,
Okay, so that's how you've been told. Okay, and that's, as we know now, the consent is lodged, but it's still waiting.
yes, that's not.
So not going to catch up with where it's at. Okay.
James, what sort of consultation would you expect to be reasonable in the situation?
I think the resource consent process provides for various levels of notification. I think notification to, at the very least, the adjacent property owners who have chosen to live there based on the reserve and its amenity value. I think the recreational users of that reserve, being the people who would, perhaps picnic or walk dogs or access the walkway. And I think the entirety of the golf club membership that use that reserve to play golf. I think those are all potentially affected parties that deserve to be involved in the process of notification.
Thank you. We are going to have to move on.
So can I just ask one more question, because I'm not very familiar with the golf course. Then I think swimming is more important and golf, but anyhow. Can the public walk around the golf?
Yes,
And that's part of it.
it is part of the league, yes.
Pretty good place to do running training.
And people, I just think people do walk through the golf. Watch out and be mindful of people going. It is a open space for people.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Jack. Paul, welcome. Good morning, community board, staff, public. It's been a while since I've come here to present. I had marked this date to come and compliment the board on the removal of the eyesores at the end of Hunt Road, the Surfers Reserve. That Surfers of New Zealand went to the highest order into the government and the New Zealand Coastal Policy Statement and got the intrinsic value of that sand dune and the ocean in that park. And I presume the council acknowledged that and got rid of that riprap. The board riders don't have club rooms because we don't want to get into the situation of the Whangamatā Surf Club. That is our club room. But since then, my property borders the Whangamatā 9-hole golf course, as it's known, but it is a public reserve. The only reservation for that park is on Wednesday for the women's golf. Otherwise, anyone and everyone can and should use that park. I use that park every morning, walking my dog. I'm appreciative of all the golfers and their balls. In fact, I had a box of 100 balls in my place Friday and Sunday nights. But I was concerned because I was the submitter to the Parks and Reserve last time it came up, and in that there was no mention of any cell tower going into the Williamson Reserve. So that's definitely a shade and lack of consultation. Otherwise, I would have made then, I think it's about 5 years ago, made a comment on that. I actually thought the poll was just a poll. and we were waiting for the infrastructure through a resource consent. Since then, I've found that the pole works for 2 degrees. I must say, I'm a 2 degrees user. However, I do not want any extension to the pole. One, because the aesthetic and the intrinsic value of that reserve and the history of that reserve, as my father and friends developed the golf course in that reserve and had to get special permission to turn it into a golf course. So I thought I better find out what this pole does. And so I talked to friends that have a pole close to them at the surf club, and they bought an EM Geiger counter that does EMF, RF, and EF, electromagnetic frequency, electric frequency. And it has a simple reader: low, medium, normal, high meaning unhealthy. So Rod Smith, who did the survey, long-time resident of Whangamatā, 60 years, respected through the community, borrowed this apparatus. At the bottom, he lives on Beverly Hills. He went round his house and went, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. Oh, my wife died of cancer. Oh, the breathing is quite high where she used to have her head. So then he went down. He got to Mum's Corner store. The reading started to go really high when he was in front of the kindergarten and the school. It was off the ripper. He then went up the main street, and as he moved away from the school, the frequency dropped. As he moved into town from the Liquorland car park through to the mini golf, once again off the ripper. And he didn't know about the one down at the industrial area. I think that's a bit more new. So then he thought, okay, well, I'll go take the machine back to my friends on the Esplanade. And then he went, oh, well, I better go and check the one at Blackie's. So he's at Blackie's, he's standing under the tower at Blackie's, and readings, minimal, maybe normal. I think that's really good. 1 minute. He then walked to his friend's place with the Geiger counter on. Everything was sweet. Went up to the 2nd story, into their kitchen, really high readings. In other words, unhealthy. So I'm concerned on 2 facts: health and aesthetic value. The other thing, I've got 30 seconds, so I won't go into it because it's a 3-hour thing, is I'm not very happy with the flood maps. Both my commercial area in the middle of town is fully flooded. My section by the golf course, 1/2 metre deep. My neighbour has got no water on it. The question I asked the council was, where is that water coming from and why is it coming to my property? Since then, I'll just say I've read Wilhelm DeLonghi's review of the NIWA data, and I've read Ian Wishart's review of the NIWA data. The NIWA data is flawed. The Minister of Weather, Ms. Collins, defended NIWA in Parliament, but she did not defend the data. So I'm really concerned that we have put 3,500 sections up for reinsurance. Now, one lady, this one, her insurance was due when the maps came out. The instructions from staff, not from the community board, go and contact your insurance company. Her insurance went up $380. So we round that off at 400, multiply it by 3,500 on false data. I think this community board needs to look into this issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. That concludes the public forum. We are going to go direct now to the presentation time. Sorry, we're a few minutes late. Yeah, so I'll just start from moving seconder for the public forum on the page. Brilliant. Yeah, thank you. All those in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Have it here. Happy if we do the presentation.
I'm going to stand up.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning and welcome to the presentation for Community Awards for 2024. It's a great privilege to invite both the members that are going to receive the awards today. They have done a terrible lot within this community and it's very much appreciated. They not only mentor and pick up on a heck of a lot of work, but they have definitely helped with this community in having improvements done, and I thank them for that. When we look at Graham Webb and what he has achieved through there, he's a volunteer for the Harbour and Beach Estuary Care, the Town Beautification Group, the Hall Community and also Community Patrol, has been involved in Creative New Zealand, Community Arts Council, Historic Places Trust, Ratepayers and Residents Association and the Memorial Hall Committee. He also cared for the archives that are kept within this area. In regards to Rob, he's a volunteer for the Whangamatā Memorial Hall. He's president of the Whangamatā Menship or chairperson of Whangamatā Menship, president of the Whangamatā Residents and Ratepayers Association, chairman of the Whangamatā Community Pool, and supported the Whangamatā Theatre Society with the opportunity to be involved in local productions. In closing, I encourage all those that, to look at and reflect on the achievements of these two gentlemen and ensure that we all do our bit to help this important town that we have here. Whether big or small, every act is a service count. So thank you for that. I welcome you all and invite you to join us for morning tea now. We're going to do the presentation as it is now. So the first one is Graham Webster.
Thank you.
Is your medallion? Yes, your. Very good.
Okay.
Do a handshake.
Come on, you can't.
Well, I want to say something. Well, those of you who know me well, will all know that I usually have too much to say. But so I've got something. I've prepared something. So yeah. So old people tend to focus on the past and relive their efforts and successes and failures. I'm now one of those old people. I'm mindful of the volume of work which the board needs to deal with today, and I shall read my thoughts and thank yous, which should only take 1.5 minutes. So you'll be pretty pleased about that. So thank you for this Community Service Award. I'm honoured to receive this recognition. My family and I have been visiting Whangamatā since the 1930s, and my wife and I retired here 34 years ago. I've been fortunate enough to work alongside many dedicated volunteers who share a passion for making Whangamatā an even better place. I strongly believe that to attract and retain more volunteers, our council needs to devolve responsibility and resources back to the Whangamatā Community Board to support local community initiatives. This was the way it was until funding and decision-making was centralised around 20 years ago. It's no surprise that volunteering in Whangamatā has suffered as a result. It's wonderful to see that Mayor Len Salt recognises this and is looking to partner again with community volunteers. We need to trust our community leaders and volunteers to make decisions that benefit our town. By doing so, we'll unlock the full potential of our community and create a brighter future for Whangamatā. So thank you again for this award. I hope it serves as a reminder that we all have a role to play in building a stronger, more vibrant community. So best wishes, good people. Thank you.
Thank you, Graham. Now we move on to the vote.
Welcome to the day.
Good idea. Probably more room here. This is very well to
Thank you.
congratulations. Rob, very much so. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, you've done many wonderful activities for the town, and it's really appreciated. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, mate. Good day.
I just, I didn't have anything prepared as well as Graham. I'm a little bit embarrassed about this because we've only been here a very short time, and I understand you, before you accepted into the Whangamatā community, you got to be born here for at least 40 years.
That's right.
So I'm really honoured and overwhelmed really about this award. And when I think when we arrived here, I think 2018, and I just got a comment on, I tried to go back through Graham's achievements over the 30 odd years you've been here, and I think, well, you explained them really well, and the times and things that you've done over the time, brief time that we've been here, it just seems, I mean, the men's shed's the love of my life. I just love being involved with the men's shed. I don't see that as a chore whatsoever. The pool is another passionate thing that I just love being involved with. It's just something that just comes naturally. I enjoy that type of, that sort of thing. I remember meeting Ange for the first time when she said, oh, we need a set built at the theatre. And I thought, well, this will be a change. So it'll be a bit of a challenge. And again, we got involved with that. It's just grown from there. I met all these wonderful people in the Drama Society. The WRA, well, I don't quite know why I got involved with that, but it's a bit of a penance sometimes. But you've got to do good things to get to do some of the other stuff. But WRA stuff is so crucial. You know, we have to keep working and keep going and working with these guys in the room and the staff, council, if we're going to get the benefits that we want within our town. I got involved with stormwater with my friend here, Ian Holyoke, and I thought that was really exciting at the start, but a bit of a challenge. But it's great to be involved with all of the things that are challenging and things that you just get so much pleasure out of. And we just get so much pleasure out of being involved with the fun things, the men's shed, the pool, and the theatre society. And as I said before, it's just the politics stuff is just that little bit harder, but you just have to keep doing it. I want to thank everybody that's in this room and all of the people that I get involved with and we just meet through town. We just made so many friends being here and it's just so good. People are just so helpful and supportive. Pool refurbishment that we've just completed. We're going to open the pool tomorrow. Countless people have just come along and just put time, money, expertise, sheer labour. It's just amazing how people just come along and just want to be part of that process. I just have to thank Denise. Get up in the morning and I go to the pool and I come home. Do it again the next day. Thank you so much. I love you for your support. I love you. So just really appreciate it. One of the things that the pool committee is really looking forward to is to be able to go into town and go shopping, go for a beer in the pub somewhere, or maybe even just meet somebody in town. And the first question is, when's the pool opening? Well, it's opening on Wednesday. So I really appreciate that. Thank you all very much. Great to be here. Thank you.
We'd like you now to join us for a cup of tea and something to eat. Thank you very much.